Jason Lisk with Pool Genius here with your Week 5 NFL Survivor recap and rundown. And boy, did I pick a bad week to stop sniffing glue. What a Survivor week it was. What an absolute insane set of games and results. Let's get to it. But first, I'm going to tell you to look in the link below in the description. I worked on an article, went back, dug through the archives. I had to look based on what happened this week. What were the worst NFL Survivor beats that we know of? I dug through the last 15 years of results, data, game outcomes, and came up with an article. So check that out if you want to see and commiserate together with some of the craziness that is NFL Survivor. But let's get to Week 5. It started crazily enough on Thursday night. We had the Rams go from a 3.5-point favorite when the week started, all the way up to 9, closed around 8, 8.5 at many places as they played the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers injury report was terrible. They had both starting wide receivers out. Brock Purdy was going to miss again. Mac Jones, who was limited and had a knee injury, was going to have to play because of Purdy's injury. This team was down George Kittle, who's on the IR. Just a team that was going to piece things together on offense against a Rams team that was peaking. Should be 4-0 if they hadn't had the situation with the Eagles a few weeks ago, but we're 3-1 at home against the Niners. And the Niners jumped on them right away. They jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead. But you know what? The Rams came back when they weren't busy shooting themselves in the foot with drops, missed field goals, and fumbles. They were scoring and moving the ball, and they got all the way back in this game. Just enough to tease those that supported and picked the Rams in Survivor, because the Rams looked like they had a chance to win it in regulation. They had the ball right at the goal line, handed it off to Kyren Williams. He took a punch. Ball got punched out right at the goal line. Rams were still able to get the stop and the pump back to get the field goal to send it to overtime, but they were that close to basically scoring and taking the lead in the final minute. And then in overtime, 49ers settled for a field goal. That field goal, by the way, banked in off the upright. Talk about running pure or not running pure. Rams pickers were not running pure on Thursday night. And then the Rams got down the field, got in the red zone, down 3 with the new overtime rules. Everybody gets a possession. Only 10 minutes long. Ties are at risk, and ties, as we know, can eliminate you in Survivor. So the Rams went for it on 4th and 1 and got stuffed. That's a pretty bad Survivor beat. As you'll see, I put it right at the edge of the top 10 over the last 15 years. And it wasn't even the worst of Week 5. That takes us to Arizona. Probably the most popular pick in many pools. Certainly among the most popular in Week 5. Arizona Cardinals jumped up top 21-3 against the Titans. A team that is on the ropes, whose coach probably was going to be in trouble if they dropped to 0-5 and put up another non-competitive performance. They were up 21-3 against a team that got shut out a week ago by the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. That score remained through halftime. It was still 21-6 late in the third quarter. But we saw cracks with Arizona in other Survivor-relevant games in Week 1 and 2. They let the Saints back in it, let the Saints hang around, and almost lost. Came within a throw to the end zone of potentially losing that game. They had a big lead on Carolina at home. Similar type situation. Could not put them away. Failed to score in the second half. Let Carolina come all the way back, recover an onside kick, and have a chance to win it late. But this one takes the cake. This, folks, is your number one worst NFL Survivor beat, at least of the last 15 years. Unless you were playing in Survivor pools back in the 70s, in the days of the Holy Roller and the Miracle of the Meadowlands, I don't know that you've experienced a Survivor beat like this. Up 21-6. First, we start with Kyler Murray in the shotgun, right at the edge of the red zone, third down. Arizona, at minimum, probably getting a field goal attempt late in the third to go up 24-6. And the snap comes unexpectedly, drills him in the face, bounces off his face mask, and is recovered by the Titans to eliminate that scoring chance. And in the fourth quarter, in a play that will go down in Survivor infamy, Mari DiMercato broke it up the middle, over 70 yards, running free toward the end zone. Folks, someday, we will live in a world where running backs and receivers do not let go of the football before they cross the end zone in some attempt to look cool. But it is not this day. DiMercato dropped the ball. It was right at the edge of the line. Quite frankly, it looked like it was right. Very debatable whether he actually released it right before he crossed the line. They reversed the touchdown, gave it as a touchback. So instead of being 28-6 with barely over 10 minutes left in the game against a lifeless Titans team that had not been able to score, it was still 21-6. And we know what happens when you tempt the football gods. You pay the price. And Arizona paid the price in a big way. The Titans woke up, scored, made it 21-12, missed the extra point. But that just made the agony worse, because on the next drive, the Titans went down and scored in one of the most ridiculous plays you'll ever see. Made even more ridiculous because it was part of this crazy Survivor elimination. You know, Cam Ward threw a pass that was picked off at the 5. Defensive back rolling over, trying to make the catch. They ruled he had made the catch, but as he tries to roll up, it comes loose. It is then kicked around by multiple Arizona defenders into the end zone, where Tyler Lockett jumps on it to pull it within 21-19. And then Arizona did their part. How you can coach in the NFL and not realize when you're up 2, it is far more important to try to get the first down than to try and run another 30 seconds, 40 seconds of clock. They ran the ball on 3rd and 8, punted it back to the Titans at the 2-minute warning, up 2, in a move that absolutely tempted and thumbed their noses at the football gods. You cannot do that. And they paid the price. The Titans, with all the momentum in the world, with all the confidence suddenly given to them by Arizona's boneheaded plays and complete mishaps, hit a big play down to Calvin Ridley, knelt on the ball, and kicked the game-winning field goal to knock out likely over 20% of most Survivor pools on one of the most insane games you will ever see in NFL Survivor. Once again, I wrote an article. It went into the top 10 worst NFL Survivor beats since 2010. You want to take a look at that, see how many of those you were part of. There are some good games in there. So, well, good games in bad ways. Games that you probably have forgotten about, but none of them beat a game where the running back drops the ball in what could have been the clinching touchdown, where the last touchdown scored is on a crazy turnover, double turnover play to a ball knocked into the end zone. None of them can top that. But check that out. Check out the games. You can disagree with those if you have others. Add your thoughts. So that largely sums up week 5, but that wasn't even all the eliminations. The Bills had some popularity. They were usually 5th in most pools. They got beat on Sunday Night Football. That was a game where they had turnovers, but it doesn't even qualify as one of the craziest games because of what else happened this week. Seattle lost at the last with an interception after making a comeback and having a chance to beat the Bucs. They were probably 6th in popularity in a lot of pools. So this was a week where unless you had Detroit or Indy, or unless you made a pick on a low-owned team like the Vikings or the Saints, you probably didn't go through. If you did, good luck in week 6. And if you did not, hey, we're going to have a video on second chance pools. Check that out. There are still plenty of Survivor pools that start up. If you want a little bit more of the action, if you haven't had enough of getting what happened in Arizona, if you need more, There are opportunities, so check it out, and good luck to you in week 6.